It was in summer of 1988 that Hamilton County Baptist Association took summer missionaries, and they went to different areas, north, east, west, south of Hamilton County, or in the the extreme fringes of the county, and looked to see where there was interest in starting a mission work. And I don't know where we fell into that. I'm not exactly sure if they prioritized that or gave some sort of weight to it. But I know that this was the place that was chosen in the Dallas Bay community, which is in North Hamilton County. So they found that were more people here that were moving into the community that had no church affiliation. So the decision was made, and that was before I even learned of it, that we ought to start a mission in the Dallas Bay community. We were driving by one day. I was actually a bivocational pastor in a small church in North Hamilton County. I was working as a computer programmer at one of the large insurance companies here. And so I really had the best of both worlds. I really enjoyed preaching. I've always loved to preach, but then I also had a good, secure job, And one Sunday morning, we had the opportunity to go to Sunday school somewhere besides the church where I pastored, and saw the sign that says Dallas Bay Baptist Mission meeting here. And so I said to my wife, hey, let's go in there and check it out. And so we drove in, and we pulled in on the campus, and we fell in love with the place. Someone said, we considered you as our pastor, but you already pastor somewhere now. And I said, well, don't be too quick. I might be really interested in this. And so it began a long process of several months of going with their pastor search committee. But I became the pastor in January of 1990. So I'm the only called pastor the church has. I'll never forget that. It was kind of pins and needles for the vote, like every pastor knows about, when finally the pastor search committee brings it to the congregation, and are you going to pass or are you not? And the vote was 20-4. So there's 24 voting people in the church. And that's really where we began, meeting at elementary school on Sunday mornings, meeting in the fire hall on Wednesday nights because we couldn't have the school during the week. And that was kind of our humble beginnings. But back then, we could already see that God was really moving, that people were being attracted to this work at Dallas Bay. We were soon in a rented facility. A year later, we stayed there for a little over a year before we moved into the property where we are now with our first small building, worship center, fellowship hall, kind of combined classes. But God just began to multiply us. We went from that 24 to 100 to 500 to 1,000. It was just incredible watching what God was doing. But the most important thing that I know of that Hamilton County Baptists might want to be aware of is early on, it was the director of missions advice and him coming and praying with me and walking over the property, this young pastor that didn't really know how to handle the growth that was taking place. Other pastors in our association praying for us, having lunch with me picking their brain about, what would you do here, what would you do now. The association actually helped fund us in the beginning. We had, back then it was the Home Mission Board, then Tennessee Baptist, but also Hamilton County Baptist, who contributed every month to our church to make sure that the pastor got paid, the light bills got paid. And so we really were a product of the mission-mindedness of Hamilton County Baptist Association. Our role with Hamilton County Baptist is almost flipped. There was a time where we could not exist without them. We went down and borrowed overhead projectors. We borrowed the screens, the cellophane that you would write on for it was just incredible, all the things that we needed. Because when we started, we had nothing. We had not a pencil. And so a lot of things we didn't have the money to buy. We would borrow, we'd sign out, we'd bring it back later. And it was just such a help. We need to make copies. We went to the Baptist building to make copies. We need to make phone calls. We'd go to the Baptist building to make phone calls. It was just, they were so important to us in the beginning. Now, of course, the church has grown. We're a large church now with a large staff, and so those sorts of things aren't necessary. What we want to do, and I think what churches who've seen the benefit of the association want to do, is now give back to the association. It's not so much what the association can do for us, but the cooperation that we can have with the association. I would love to have the opportunities to help churches that are just starting like we were helped when we first got started. So we now want to contribute back. We want to lend a hand to those people who were where we were. And I like to talk to churches who are small now, because this is what can happen. I mean, you have no idea what God has intended for that ministry. I know one thing He intends for you to prosper, and that's what His Word says. And so we can work together as Hamilton County Baptists to see that that work where you are prospers just like it's prospered at Dallas Bay.